Good day and welcome to Food for Mzansi TV. It's great to be back. And as you can see, I'm not alone. My name is Dawn Numdu. I'm the editor for audience engagement at Food for Mzansi. And today I'm joined by Dr. Kobus Loubser. He is an agricultural economist and independent consultant at Agility Agri. And I'm also joined by Marsha LaRue. She's a sales executive at Agility Channel. Welcome, Dr. Loubser. Great to have you with us. Welcome, Marsha.
Hello, Dawn.
Thank you very much for the opportunity again.
So over the past few weeks, there was a very strong focus in terms of our Health Squared and Agility Agri Way chats over the past few weeks around future-focused farmers who consider the well-being of their employees, and they understand it as being an overall plan that they need to have in place to succeed in their business. And it's a position that they find themselves that they need to develop to be able to grow in this industry. Now, Dr. Loubser, maybe I can start with you just to speak broadly around wellness and the importance of wellness within the agri sector and why farmers should consider it.
Thank you very much. I think one have to take a step back in terms of what is happening within agriculture, especially in the market. So during the lockdown, we sort of deprived of development that was really exciting in terms of how we prepare ourselves to be more competitive. Now, being competitive doesn't just mean you have the right price, the right product at the right place. What is constantly being increasingly important is how, what are the environment you're coming from, not just in terms of the physical environment, but also the people side of environment. And we are able, and especially because of social media and the fact that we are digitally empowered now, you cannot hide in terms of what you do. So when we then present our products in whatever market, the buyer has the choice to buy apples from the Western Cape, follow through in terms of environmental adherence, compliance, and also the well-being of the people, or they can buy an apple from any other part of the country, of the world. And that is what we need to do. So we have to look in terms of a holistic approach, in terms of the total well-being. Now, importantly, farms are driven by people. The farmer and his team. Without them, there's nothing to do. There's no product. There will be no product. So there's no automation as far as that concerned. You cannot replace all people with machinery. So having said that, is how do we then equip and enable our people in a team sort of arrangement to do what is required from them, to make the farm work, and the farm will work if we can sell our products competitively any place in the world.
Now, Marsha, you understand it better than both Dr. Loubser and I probably understand it in terms of what offerings are specifically available and more specifically what Agility Agri has to offer in terms of solutions that farmers can possibly tap into. What do we look for, and what are some of the key objectives when it comes to the Agility Employee Wellness Solution?
Dawn, I have to agree with Dr. Kobus when he said that your employees are your most important capital in your business, and especially on a farm. And it becomes more and more evident that employers are seeking a solution for the well-being of their staff. And very specifically, why are we looking at these choices when we are in an employer situation? It definitely reduces absenteeism. It really also gives a higher productivity because these individuals have opportunities and access to benefits that really enhance them as an individual. And I will get back to those benefits, but also when you have an employee well-being solution as the one that I'm going to mention, it also identifies and manages that human capital risk that you could be exposed to. And with all these benefits, reducing the absenteeism, improving productivity, and also keeping your employees healthier for longer. It definitely comes back to that term of becoming an employer of choice, but also for the employees to feel that they are being valued by you in terms of what their requirements would also be from a well-being perspective. So looking at Agility Agri and our Agility Employee Wellbeing program that we have, the benefit and a very big positive is that when an employer, a farmer and his staff belongs to Agility or Health Squared, our medical aid, they do get a portion of our employee wellbeing benefits as a complementary. And it's definitely a core aspect within the well-being of employees, where we can then have a look and assist them with the psychological aspects that they could encounter, financial distress that they might have, but also legal. And we've seen with these Black Swan events, we've all been faced with one of those three. And it's very difficult sometimes to speak to an employer about this, because we do have a concern about our safety in our job if they find out that we have these issues that are causing a presenteeism aspect of me being at work. So giving them access to a 24/7 helpline where you've got professionals that can deal with psychosocial aspects, give you advice financially and legally, this is definitely something that enhances the employee's well-being, and they feel that the employer have created an opportunity for them to speak to somebody that's professional and can assist them in these times.
I think the biggest thing to also consider, Marsha, would also be whether the cost outweighs the means. Like, is it worth it in the long run? Dr. Loksha, do you agree that an investment now and adapting and changing to incorporating well-being and wellness and awareness about the health of the employees on your farm is relevant? And how do we sort of change the conversation around farmers and agripreneurs and agriculturalists even starting to think about it at all?
Yeah, I think, there's a fallacy that labor in agriculture is cheap and readily available. Actually, there's an abundance of labor. Now, if you look at them to the latest figures, we see, yes, employment is a little bit up in the latest quarterly statistics. That may be seasonal driven, but hopefully we'll be able to maintain this above 750 people employment in agriculture. But that's the statistics. What is now needed, and Marsha rightfully referred to the fact that it's seen that a farm is different from any other place in the market chain. Now let's step back again. We're talking about a value chain, starting with a farmer pivotal in making decisions in terms of sourcing inputs and getting it on the farm and then produce and beyond the farm gate. It's a value chain per se. What we try to do is the fact that farmers are remotely operating doesn't seclude them and their employees for what they can do in cities. So that's very important. So when we talk about the value chain, don't just see the farmer or his farm as an individual, shying away from the realities. My view is that on a farm, it's part of the value chain. Once it starts, and treat your people as your nearest neighbor, extended family. That's how I grew up. My late mother was organizing that, ensuring that the people gets to the hospital, gets to school, the clinic, visit the farm. We need to re-establish that because we need to take hands. And once that's been done as a given, this is not an exception. This is a sort of to be standard. Once you have those facilities, then it can add on. What agility then can bring to the table is, yes, order, monitoring, performance assessment, and see what do you get. You get your money back in terms of what. It's not about spending and saving on people's lives. You get empowering a different work, establishment on farms and within the value chain. So sometimes agribusiness will argue, okay, fine, this is not my cup of tea in terms of what's happening on the farm. And that's not correct because the agribusiness, work with products coming from a farm. And as I indicated earlier, is where it comes from is going to count more and more and more. And that kind of difference is very important to treat. And we must see it and we must treat it. And once treated with the right tools, I think we can enhance competitiveness on our farms. I
think the one thing that stood out for me there, Dr. Loksha, is the empowerment People sort of often overlook that. When you empower people, their contributions is more valued, and they feel part of this community, like you so rightly said. Now, in terms of the specifics, maybe I can get into the specifics with you, Marsha. What exactly does the solution offer employees on the farm, and in terms of services and support? You mentioned earlier there's a phone-in service, but what else is there? And I know that it includes health, emotional well-being, and all financial independence. So maybe you can tell us a bit about the features. What does the core program and comprehensive program actually do?
Okay, fantastic. Yes. I think, and as I mentioned before, as a member of Health Squared or Agility Agri, you will automatically have access to our EWP core program, which is the 24/7 assistance line for psychosocial, financial, and legal advice that you can get. But then we can also look at it from a risk management perspective, and tailor make it specifically into what the farmer is looking at or could be concerned about. A nice thing that we can also do is a trend analysis, and provide the farmer with a specific reporting structure that can identify certain risks from a claiming perspective that we can see the farmer having a possible risk in future. So the other part of our EWP program, our comprehensive program, specifically focuses on that, where we can then pinpoint exactly what the farmer requires and what assistance from that perspective will come. And this will be in the form of examples such as a VCT campaign that we can run then for the employees on the farm, HIV counseling with treatment and management thereof, absenteeism management, identifying what the root cause of that is, and then putting measurements and mitigations in place to definitely reduce that trend that we're seeing. And then preventative screening that we can do, biometric reports that we can do, and also then management consultations to assist even those individuals that are responsible for the employees from a human resource perspective, how to identify these kind of risks, how to use what we've incorporated from an employee well-being program to them to really get their return on investment, but most importantly, for the employees' well-being then to be enhanced through these wonderful benefits that we have. So Dawn, in a nutshell, we can customize it exactly for what the farmer requires. It's not a one package fits all, as Dr. Quibus mentioned right in the beginning of the session. So it's really identifying and having the opportunity to sit with the farmer, understand what the requirements and the needs and possible challenges are, and then building something as a partnership with the farmer and creating that employee well-being on a proactive scale rather than a reactive scale.
Yes, can I just come in? I just want to make one comment. And that is, what the toolbox that Agility Agri can supply. It's not something that you do it, like two buckies. You have one bucky, you have a fourth bucky, and then somebody come and introduce a Hilux bucky, and you replace the Hilux with the fourth of the Hilux. This is what we're talking about. This is complementary. You're complementing what is exactly there. It's an assessment. And what we see is a different way of giving peace of mind. Because in my heart of heart, I believe that all of us are concerned about the well-being. And in my experience, you get a farm worker that gets sick. What do you know? Then you phone an ambulance. And there's so many instances when the ambulance arrive late, too late. So what you do, you yourself as a farmer, take it to the hospital, you take it to the clinic and stuff like that. But that follow through, because ultimately you're concerned, not just because you're losing a bolt or a nut on a farm. This is a human being that plays a role within the value chain. And his or her well-being is important to you, not just for the purpose of production and productivity, but as a human being. And that's and I think farmers have a different interaction with their people on the farm. And we have to build on that one and provide the right toolbox. And build it, as Marcia said, how do we build step by step, and give that assurance, of course, but also importantly, link on to what existing services there are already. It's not a replacement. Link on to give the peace of mind, because ultimately I want to go to bed tonight, my people are healthy, safe, and they well cared within my means as a farmer. And that provides different sort of peace of mind. And then from there we progress in terms of normal productivity enhancement, etc. And commitment to ultimately remain sustainable on the farm.
I think that's the most important takeaway for me, the fact that no farm and operation is the same. And you can't, what works for this farmer and farming community won't work for the next. It varies
Absolutely.
from farm to farm. Marsha, maybe you could detail some of the other benefits that farmers can take away in terms of the specific program that is being offered. And then Dr. Loubser, maybe you can also add on that to elaborate a little bit about how these rewards and benefit will play out in terms of accessing the markets and the overall well-being and operations on the farm as well. Marsha, we'll start with you.
So Dawn, yes, not one farm is exactly the same as the other. Very, very critical. And I think that is the biggest benefit that we can bring. Not only offering something complementary that should not be seen as a lesser benefit. We have seen ourselves being in the industry and having a lot of agricultural clients that the need for such employee well-being programs are becoming more and more a requirement that they want to ensure that this well-being happens. So starting off with having access to unlimited telephonic psychosocial advice, as well as telephonic help with financial matters and legal advice, as I mentioned, but also health advice. I think a lot of times there's a stigma that people have in terms of where we are at the moment with COVID. And as we know, there's no switch off button for COVID come 31 December. We will still see it coming in the new year. And people having the ability and access to a line where they can ask these questions. How can I make sure that I'm okay? What should I do? Is this a myth? Is this the reality? And then built on that, doing wellness days where we can come with professional doctors and nurses, do certain tests at the employer to make sure that their staff are healthy, but also help them from a management and a counseling perspective, how to deal with certain matters. So from your HIV testing to absenteeism management to biometric testing, all of these aspects relate to one thing. Where is our possible challenges? How do we better the well-being of our staff, and also then, very important, retain that very valuable staff that we so need on our farms?
Dr. Loubser, and in terms of looking at these benefits and the rewards that is being offered, how does that then in the end also benefit the farmer? Does he then consider this as a must? Also in terms of overall operations, having these regular checkups, hosting these wellness days, how important is this?
Sometimes people mistakenly just look in terms of the cost. There are costs involved. I mean, the fact of the matter is, what do you get for the money you paid for? And what is being presented is, yes, let's assess, let's try to tailor-make. Obviously, if we have something that a model that works, try to comply with the model and see like that, because there are a lot of numerous examples. So find that it will then say, guys, the farmer will sit down, explain whatever the case may be, and then say, guys, whatever comes this way, these are the benefits. The benefits sometimes not necessarily tangible in terms of measurable, but it provides that peace of mind. I've seen it many times in my life. You get to the farm in the morning, one of your employees, you can see he's absent-minded. If you ignore it, it might lead to an accident or whatever the case may be. And to be bluntly with you, sometimes I have enough people on board that I can afford one guy not working 100%. But that's not a new normal. Productive people need to be on the farm. Now, if you see this guy something wrong, he might be concerned about his wife, he doesn't feel good, whatever the case may be. But he doesn't have access to what he knows. If you ask that guy, she has to be, and I'm practical now, they go to a clinic and whatever the case. If we then can bring relief as far as that concerned, with the toolbox, I think that in itself means quite a lot. Now, once that's been sorted out, all this working places are the same, then I'm relaxed and I can concentrate on my work. Once I do that, there comes the productivity part enhancement. What does it mean? Your job being done better at a lower cost. It adds to the better bottom line, and that enhances the same sustainability on a farm. And I think that's critical, because remember, a profitable farm is, in my opinion, the cheapest way to conduct rural development, because a profitable farm can employ people, pay them decent wages, and those people spend the money not in Bloemfontein, but on Deelsville near the farm, for instance, to take an example. And that boosts the economy of Deelsville. And that's what we want to do. No high fly from Bloemfontein, whatever the case is. That's the reality. So what we need to do with this toolbox, we push it down to farm level and empower the farmer and his wife. Now, while Marcia was talking, these wellness days, we sometimes concentrate on the wrong people. Because shouldn't we constantly focus on the wife of the farmers, or even the farm workers themselves, the wife of the farm workers? Concentrate on those and empower them with the necessary understanding of the toolbox. I think that is a new level of engagement that we can easily will do. And I think that will contribute to the overall, peace of mind picture that we want to establish.
And then
absolutely. And if I can just add to that, Dawn, we're talking about employee well-being, but as Dr. Kobus also rightfully said, building that on to then giving access to private healthcare facilities and building from that, you are definitely going to create a much stronger workforce. Absolutely.
Just as we basically wrap up the conversation today, we spoke earlier about no farm being the same, and there are different types of farmers out there, different agricultural products that they're working with, but the size of the farmers also differs from farmer to farmer. When you consider these types of programs, obviously there's a scale, does the scale matter? Does it matter how many employees you have? Should you, obviously, if there's a bigger operation, you have more people working for you, but how do you consider it in terms of the size of your farm? Is there specific things that you should be looking at? Dr. Kobus?
Let me answer that one. Let me take that. Obviously, the more people, the better. That makes sense. But what we try, and we currently have very high level discussion with organized agriculture in terms of how can we join in their operational structures, in terms of collaborating farmers and how do they do that. We will come up with a unique sort of model where we can give more people access to what we have. But you're right, because in one farmer or 3 or 4 families on the farm sometimes may feel this is not worth my while. But we would encourage them, get in contact with Agility Agri and see what can we do, maybe within a farmers union or whatever the case may be, together with them. But there's nothing should stand in our way to address these challenges. That's critical. And I think we can share we can tap into the collective wisdom in terms of how should it work. And we prepare to do that because it's too important to neglect this part. You see, agriculture cannot be seen as the employer in the last resort. We have to turn it around. We have to get agricultural farming as a career, a different career, more attractive, attracting the right people, and making no difference with the farm. Living on a farm, working must be better than working in town or a city. And that's the kind of thing that we want to contribute to that vision. And we present ourselves as a partner in vision as far as that's concerned.
Marsha, do you have any comments as we wrap up today's conversation? And maybe you can also add, if farmers and agriculturists are interested, how do they then reach out to you?
Yes, absolutely. So in terms of size, Dawn, from a health squared and Agility Agri perspective, we consider any size from a minimum of 5 individuals on a farm as a group. So farmers do not have to worry in terms of reaching out to us and getting a quote from us to make sure as a partner that we can provide them with the right health care that suits their employees at all income levels. And I think that's also important. One always thinks you have to be at a certain income level to be able to have access to this. But what we've done from Agility Agri corporate perspective is make sure that we have private health care benefits and access to this for any level of income. So first of all, the group size does not matter, and also that we will be able to give a solution for all income levels on the farm.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kobus Loubser is an agricultural economist and independent consultant at Agility Agri. Marsha LaRue, sales executive at Agility Channel. Anything that you'd like to add in closing before we say goodbye?
Yeah, I want to leave it with a teaser. Contact Marsha, listen to what is available for seasonal workers on farms, not permanently there. And now that also can add to different peace of mind, for those farmers. Also adding peace of mind in all different, but unique, and they've got the tools to do exactly that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Loubser. Marsha?
Yes, absolutely. And I think if there are farmers out there that's interested to discuss this with me in more detail, they can definitely visit our website, www.healthsquared.co.za. All our contact details are on there, and I would be more than happy to assist in seeing what a good solution would be that's specifically pertaining to their farm.
Perfect. Thank you so much. That wraps up today's discussion. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. We look forward to chatting to them again next week. This is the Health Squared Agility Agri Update here on Food for Mzansi TV. Great day to you, and until next time, bye-bye.